Hey, Daniel here. I want to talk to you guys a little bit uh, today about change, adaptivity, success, failures, uh, but don't look at failures as just failures, but as experience. So I've heard from a book or a person in the past. I'm sure you've heard it too. Teach or give a man a fish and he'll eat that day, or teach him how to fish and he will be able to uh, fish every day, uh, and he'll be able to eat for the rest of his life. So what is better? It's better for you to gain the knowledge how to adopt, how to get ahead in life by seeing changes, by adaptation to different scenarios, if you will just pay attention. I'm going to go through some of my notes here. I've got notes that I took. I've been doing some self-study, and actually self-study is a good thing, especially if you're trying to get more out of life. Whether it's personal, whether it's your body, your health, financially. If you just simply go to 9 to 5 job, you can do really well at just making a living. But if you want extra, if you want more than that in your life, uh, most likely you need to step out of the box and you need to do some self-study. So adaptation, you can see in the history, adaptation is the king. If you adapt to situations that are happening in your workplace, happening in your surroundings, happening in an economy, if you will learn how to adapt to change with it, then you will be able to succeed more likely versus just having this mentality, well, my parents have done it this way, my grandparents have done it this way, so that means it has to be that way. Well, things change. Just because it worked 50 years ago or even 10 years ago, it doesn't mean that's the case anymore. So you have to be able to adapt to change if you want to succeed. Let's see. Okay, first of all, nothing in human beings and animals is always constant. Everything is constantly changing. We're aging. Our skin is always changing. Our body motions, everything is always changing. So what worked 5 years ago for your body may not be the same this year for you. Let's say if you go look at yourself in the mirror and you look at it real close and you say, well, there's some things that I want to change about my body. Say you've got a couple love handles that you want to change. Well, maybe what you did back then to make them go away isn't working anymore because bodies change. Maybe you're allergic to something now that you weren't back then. Maybe if you're doing certain exercise and it's actually that exercise is now hurting part of your other body, therefore you're in better situation to maybe do a little bit different exercise and get better or same results, but at least you're not hurting the other part of the body. So basically my talk today with you is simply to make you realize that sometimes change and look at new ideas is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Let's see. There was a situations where there was two business partners, and one of them, they were 50-50 business, that they were partners in business. But one of them was doing about 80% of the work, and the other one was doing maybe 20% of the work because he had another side business that he was working on. Well, the guy who was doing 80% of the work, he was so mad, he was so upset, and he waited so long to address the issue, that he basically was like so mad, so furious, and that relationship, business partnership, was on the verge of just going extreme breakup. Well, there was a suggestion made by Ty, one of the mentors I'm dealing with. He's helping me a lot. He said, why don't you guys, you can still be 50-50% partnership, but if the guy who's doing 80% of the work, why doesn't he just simply get 80% of earnings? Still say you're still 50-50. Let's say you sell the business or something, you're still at 50-50, but the guy who's doing most of the work will get most of the earnings at the moment, unless something changes. Let's say the other guy doesn't do that business anymore. He wants to jump back in and focus some more, then, change again is on the horizon. So it is okay to adopt, to change. Let's see. Okay. Okay, so why? Ask why. A lot of times it's good to ask why. Why do you do this? Why do you do that? Just because you've always done it that way, it doesn't mean it's the best way. There's a brand new concept that people, it's it's kind of new. It kind of surprised me too, but they are actually have started making stand-up desks where people do their work instead of sitting down with their body on the chair. They're actually standing up, and they've noticed that some people are more productive by simply being in the upright position. They're able to move around a little bit. Their thinking brain gets a little bit more activated. It can think better, think clearer, and they get more productivity by simply being in a stand-up position versus being sitting down position, where people would for years have always said, well, if you're doing study or anything like that, you'd be sitting down. Well, for some people, it's better to simply stand up while they're doing studying or any kind of situation like that. So a new house, okay, let's say a new house. Let's say you're in a house, and that house that you're in, maybe it's in the wrong part of the neighborhood. Maybe you're driving too far to work. Maybe you need to change your house. You just simply have to maybe ask 3 times why. And if you've got good reasons, then you've got a new goal. Maybe you need to sell your house and move. Or maybe if you ask 3 times why, and you come up with 3 different solutions, and it turns around that the best place for you to be is where you're at, well, maybe you're in a good situation. So you don't have to change that particular thing. Instead, maybe you need to get a different vehicle. Instead of driving a big truck, maybe you just need to get a smaller truck that burns less fuel. Or maybe you need to get a car that's more comfortable when you drive into work, where the seats are more comfortable. Maybe you don't need a truck. Like personally, I like trucks. I like them. I can put stuff in them. I can move stuff around. I just like trucks, But some people, they do really well with cars. So family, okay, family. Let's look at family. Family is blood. Blood's thicker than water. I know. That's great. It's wonderful, especially on the holidays. Get around the family. At least that's a good thing. Especially Thanksgiving. That's a great time to get around the family. But some family, you do not want to spend a whole lot of time. Let's say you have a goal or a business mind or some goals that you want to achieve in your life, and you are you are being surrounded by family that have always had a 9 to 5 job or 3 to 8 shifts, or they've been working split shifts, and that's all they know. So if you're thinking of a new business idea of doing things different, and they're going to constantly drag you down, well, maybe you're in a better situation to simply, see them once a year, but just, give yourself a little distance. Why don't you maybe decide to hang out with a cousin that is actually going to build you up and help you and cheer you on, versus someone that's going to sit there and just drag you down all the time and beat you up. So, just look at those different aspects of life where you can succeed. Because if you can adapt, if you can change, you are more likely to have a higher success rate than if you've always going to just go back and say, well, we've always done it this way. That's not always the best solution. Sam Walton, he's the gentleman that started Walmart. I heard that after he was no longer with us, one of his best friends, one of the things he mentioned to the public, he said that Sam Walton was a person that never feared of failing. He failed so many times over and over, but yet look at the success of Walmart today. For a while there, he was one of the wealthiest men in the world, or I'm not sure if it's the world or America, but either way, he was very successful. And he was one of those people that just simply, allowed himself to fail. And he didn't look at those things as failures, but he looked at those things as experiments where he would build on them and learn, and he adopted, he changed. Jeff Bezos, the Amazon guy, he's probably among the richest people today, and he looked at competition completely different than a lot of businesses do. He looked at competition not just, oh, they're here to compete with me, but he's like, you know what, there's all these bookstores. Instead of these bookstores being just competition, he's like, how can I bring them on board? Why don't we make a site and sell their books through our site, where people can get it anywhere in the world, delivered and shipped to them? And look what Jeff has created. He was able to see a change in economy, the way people do business, especially with the internet world right now. And he's able to see that and basically build on it versus seeing that as bad. So competition, you can learn a lot from competition. Maybe your competition, whatever business you're in, maybe they're doing a better job at something. Rather than look bad at that, saying, oh, them guys over there, rather than have this this negative thinking towards that group of people or that company just because they're your competition, why don't you perhaps look at it as a stepping stone, as something that you can learn from, you can perfect. Maybe you can make some better changes for your company or your place of work. Another thing is a lot of people think just because they're at one particular job, they think, okay, I've been here 5 years, I should have a better pay raise. I should make more money. I've been here 5 years. Why? have you contributed anymore? What if there's a guy that just comes in from the street, or a lady, and she's only been there 2 weeks, but she's got some ideas that you've always, you've done things a certain way, and you've wasted a lot of energy, a lot of time, but that person comes in and they have better ideas how to do things. Don't you think that that person is more value to that company? That's why sometimes, there's people that come in the company and they just go right above you because maybe they have a different thinking. Just because you've been in a certain place for so long, that does not give you the right to automatically think just because you've been there, you're entitled to more pay, whether it's more pay per hour or if you're on a salary. That's not exactly the situations in today's workplace. Computers, machines, they're changing. Their computers are doing things that people used to. Why does that mean that people have to look at that situation and say, you know what, computers are replacing jobs there, and I'm going to be without a job now? If you see that coming in your workplace, why don't you look at what can you do? Maybe you can come up with some ideas to make that factory or that workplace even more efficient. Don't look at the technology as your enemy, but look at it as a tool. So let's see. Sam Walton, let's see, he was incredible. He started out so small. He went out, he borrowed money, and he took his business, he took his store, he took ideas from other people, and he was one person that one of the people that would allow his employees to give him ideas, because he realized the value that people, when they're at work 8 to 10 hours a day, and he was busy doing something else, he listened to the people that worked for him. So if they had a better way, better idea how to do something, he always listened. He was always open-minded to that situation. So we have a lot to learn from Mr. Sam Walton because of the way he was thinking. Mr. Colonel Sanders, he was an exceptional example of someone who he has, I don't want to really use the word failed, but he's had hotel chains, he's had restaurants, he's had different businesses for 40 years before he actually started with making Kentucky Fried Chicken, and he was like 65 years old before he actually had his Kentucky Fried Chicken opened up. And then, later, look at it today. It's probably number 2 food chain in the world. That probably followed by McDonald's. So he was, he didn't let those businesses that he did not exactly super succeeded. One of the things he had a hotel in Kentucky or in that area, and his hotel, the hotel burnt down. So that kind of hurt him. Another situation, he had another hotel in a different place, and they I don't know if it's Route 67 or if it's another route, but they changed the route So now all his visitors, all his lodging guests were not coming by his hotel. So rather than have that as just a devastation of situation, he basically picked up and closed that hotel, or whatever he did, and he had to adopt. He had to change. You don't just because the customers are not coming by the hotel right there. He had to come up with some other solutions. Some things are just they're going to change. So courage, strength. Do you have the strength? Do you have the courage to go out and do something new, something changing, something better? If you're not happy with your job, let's just say, you only have one life to live here on this earth. Why should you? Why in the world would you just be completely happy, completely satisfied with that particular job when you can be an asset somewhere else? That doesn't mean go tomorrow and quit your job. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, ask why. Why are you working there? Are you happy where you're at? Are you just there because your paycheck is there? You're going to spend most of your time, let's say you spend 8 hours at work, and then you spend 10 hours or 8 hours sleeping, and then the other time you're commuting to work and back, and then you're only spending a little bit of time at home. So if you're going to spend 8 hours out of your day at a job, wouldn't it make clearer sense to be somewhere where you're passionate about, where you're there, you're being productive, you love what you're doing. It's almost like a hobby, but you're getting paid for it. That to me is a better way to live than just be at a certain job because of financial situation. Just because you've always worked there and that's all you know. And for some people that's perfect. But as long as they ask themselves why, and they come up with the answer, and the answer is because I love it here, and I know I go there, and that's what I do, and I don't have to think about it too much. I go there, I do my job, Friday I get paid, and I'm happy with that. I go home, and then I have a weekend, And if that's you, and that's a good solution, that's perfect. But if you go there, and you're like miserable, it's like, oh, it's Monday. Think about Mondays. How many Mondays is there? There's a Monday every single week. There's a country song, it's Monday, about Mondays. It's always Monday. What about Monday? Monday is just another day. You should be just as excited about it. The Lord has given you all these days to live on this earth. Why should you take Monday and kind of discriminate it just because it's a Monday and have to think in your mind that you have to drag yourself because it's a Monday? Monday is a great day. You can have a lot of good time. You can have a lot of fun on a Monday. Maybe you want to go fishing and it's a Monday because you're going there fishing because the weather's good. You can't change that, right? So take the opportunity. If the weather's good on a Monday and that's what you want to do is go fishing, wouldn't it be nice to have that ability to go do that? Well, if that's what your reason is, that's one of your goals, to be able to be flexible enough to do that, what are you willing to do about it? I heard another thing from Mr. Ty there. He says, he's learned a long time ago that a deserving person will get more. Whatever a person deserves is what most likely they will get. You're going to think, no, what are you talking about? What? I don't deserve something? Well, no, you don't. If you deserve it, most likely you will have it. What does that mean? Well, think about it. If you deserve a new vehicle or a new house, aren't you going to do what it takes to do to get that? So if you did that, that means you deserved it. So now you get it. But if you're like wishy-washy and you're going to sit there and it's like, oh, my people over there, that Mr. Jones over there, he's got a new car, he's got a new house, he's got, he's got all these things, and, but what about you? What do you have? Are you happy where you're at? Do you like your house? If you don't like your house and you want a different house, what are you willing to do about it? Are you willing to put yourself in a deserving state where you can deserve and actually get that better house or better vehicle or the freedom where you can go fishing on a Monday if that's what you want to do? A world is going to give deserving people what they want. But if you're lazy and if you're just going to sit there and you're not going to do anything about it, then what makes you think that you are going to be, or you are so special that the world is just supposed to give you anything you want just because the world's going to give the deserving people what they want. And the reason is because the deserving people are going to know what they want and they're going to work hard to get that. And that's what makes a deserving person. So, Miss Peg, there's another mentor of mine that I've been listening to, and that's Miss Peggy. Miss Peggy McCall. She's a very successful lady. She's an author, and what she said, there was an experiment done with fleas, and the fleas were put in a jar, and the jar had a lid on it. They closed the lid, and the fleas kept jumping and jumping and jumping to try to get out. And they did that for a long time. There was enough air, so the fleas kept living. They were alive. But then after a while, they took the lid off, and the fleas could have just escaped. They could have just jumped because they could jump. But the thing is that those fleas, they just sat there. They didn't jump anymore. Why is that? Well, they've been in a situation so long that they basically didn't know anything else. They realized they would jump, there was nothing. They would jump, there was nothing. They would jump, there was nothing. They would just, so basically after a while they gave up. Well, sometimes, our jobs or our places or circumstances, we think, because that's what we have in our mind, that for 10 years, I've done this, and then I tried and I failed. I tried and I failed. I tried and I failed because you tried something new. Well, what if you try something new again and you succeed at it and it's going to make a big change in your life? Don't ever just give up and stop and quit altogether. There's always hope. There's always tomorrow. There's always later. And the best time to start anything, of course, is 20 years ago or 10 years ago, whether it's investing or a new business or a new idea that you've had. The number one best time to start that was a long time ago, say 10 years ago. But the second best time is right now. Right now is the second best time, because right now is the start of the rest of your life. So if you're going to live the rest of your life and you're going to have a chance at doing something different or change, the best time to do that is right now. So let's see here. Diets, okay? Let me talk to you about diets. Diets. If you did look in the mirror and you're not exactly liking what you see, and I understand, the new magazines and the new society say, if you're big or if you're overweight or if you're a little chubby, love yourself for who you are, because it makes you feel good. Well, I mean, that's great for some people, but ask why. Why? If you're not, if you're deep down inside, if you're not super happy, if you're not super healthy because you're 10 pounds overweight or 20 pounds overweight, um, you know, why don't you perhaps decide to try a new diet? And it doesn't mean that diet has to stay with you forever. Let's say you try it for, 3 months and let's see what happens. Don't just try it for a week, because a week is really too short. But let's say you're at this particular diet for a whole 3 months, and you have not gotten any success. You're still 10 pounds overweight. Maybe you need to look at it a different way. Now it's time to change. You have to adapt. You have to change. So this applies to diet. This applies to life, relationships, friendships, family. If some things are just not working out for a long period of time, maybe it is best to do a little bit something different and change. Change is a good thing at times. Look at the species of birds or of animals. Their adaptation. The people that live in higher elevated cities in the world, up on high mountains, their lungs, their body, if you're there for a while, it adapts, it changes, it doesn't stay the same. you know so our bodies, everything changes, our environment changes, our circumstance changes. So it is okay to try new things. It is okay to have new goals, new ideas, because we only have one life to live right here on this earth. So let's live it fully. You know, let's let's have fun with this life we got. Let's see. Okay. Okay. Black and white. It's not, everything is not yes and no, black and white. Sometimes maybe, or sometimes gray is better. You know, say coffee. You're drinking coffee. Let's say you're drinking black coffee, and after a while you're like, I don't like coffee anymore. Well, perhaps you could put a little milk in it, or a little sugar, and you do that for a little bit, and it's like, well, I don't like it no more. It's okay. You can change and take the sugar and take the milk back away, and that may work for you. Let's say like particular thing, jobs. Usually people start at work at 7 to 3 or 8 to 4 or 8 to 5. Well, one of my companies is a roofing company, and in the wintertime, if you go there at 7 in the morning, you're going to be there at 7, and then you can't get on the roof because there's frost, the roof is wet, so why would why in the world would I send my crew on that particular job at 7 a.m. When they can be with their family in the morning eating breakfast or putting the kids on the school bus, and maybe in the wintertime, maybe they need to start their job, say at 9 o'clock, so that's 2 hours difference, and then they'll work, till 4 o'clock, but at least they're not there at the job site just looking at the roofs, well, because they can't get on it, or maybe they need to be doing something at the shop that, tools or maintenance that needs to be done, because just because it works in the summer for you to be there at 7, it doesn't mean you're going to be productive at 7 a.m. In January, because the roof is frosted, it's wet, it's dangerous, it's slippery, so you have to adapt, you have to change. So let's see here. Okay, so I've talked a little bit. I'm gonna I'm gonna I'm gonna do more videos with you guys, so that way if you guys enjoy what I'm saying, and I hope I'm shining some new light for you. I hope you don't take this the wrong way, but actually build on it, learn from it, and hopefully this helps you in your life. But so that's great. Now I do want to. I'm working with a company. I am working with a company, and basically it's a company that allows you to purchase a marketing product on the internet, and that product can be resold for a 40 to 60% commission over and over. It's a digital product, so it's nothing to ship. And that product is always evolving, it's always changing as the internet changes and the marketing strategies change. So it's a valuable product that can be used to market any product on the internet. But the biggest value behind it is that it gives you the ability to purchase the product once, and then you can resell it over and over for a profit. And the reason people would want to do that is, one of the reasons, is because they too can do the same. They can purchase that product and they can resell it. So it's an additional way to generate income from home. You can do this on your lunch break. It's going to take a little bit of time to learn how to set everything up, but it is doable. It is adaptable. You sometimes, maybe if you're not very computer knowledgeable, you may have to learn, adapt, change, maybe ask someone just to get a little bit of help on it. But it's worth it, because you can be on your job at lunchtime. You can be spending 10 minutes on the internet promoting your website, and then in return you might be getting sales when you get home. And the great thing about it is that once they go to your website and they log in, on the other side there's a video that explains everything, and then towards the end of that, let's say they decide to join, there's coaches that they contact the customer, and the coaches will do the selling and the explaining for you. So basically a very little effort on the picture of the whole company. Your job is to simply promote and invite people to your website. So I'm going to give you my website. If you would like to see an additional way to generate income from home, you can go to www.firstmoneymaker.com. That's firstmoneymaker.com. So I hope you enjoyed the little talking I've done. Don't take anything the wrong way, but except I hope I talked to help someone, not to hinder them, but to give them hope, give them a way to look at life or look at angles a different way, so that way you can benefit and move forward and do better in life, versus just being in the state of mind that you have to stay in poverty, or if you have to stay at your particular place of work or you have to drive the same vehicle, or if you have to live in the house that you've always lived in. You know, because the answer is you don't. You can change, you can adapt, you can overcome, you can succeed, and there's many ways of doing that. Um, so, you guys take care, and I'll talk to you guys another day. God bless you.